the top 10 reasons why you're not losing weight. And I'm going to use it as, and this is a true fact, the struggle is real. The struggle's real, y'all. No question about it. So the topics we're going to cover today is up a couple. We're going to talk about the weight loss journey because it's different for everyone. We're going to talk about the 4 basics, which is really the foundation of everything that I talk about. We'll talk about the 10 reasons why you're not losing weight. We're going to talk about tips for losing weight and keeping it off. We're going to talk a little bit about the mindset. And also, I have a little goodie for you just for coming and attending the session. We'll finish it off with a little bit of Q&A. All right, so let's push, y'all. A little bit about me. If you don't know me, yes, my name is Wallace Merriman, CEO of youbfit. I live in Bowie, Maryland. I've been married over 28 years to my lovely wife. Been a personal trainer and a fitness coach for over 25 years, online and offline. I'm a personal trainer from the military and also federal law enforcement. I was a mass fitness trainer in the Army. I'm a corporate wellness instructor, also a boot camp certified instructor for Aquafit and boot camp. I'm an adjunct professor over at PG Community College, and I teach nutrition and fitness classes. I'm a trainer for PG Parks and Rec. My background is sports and nutrition and weight management. Specialty is weight loss for women. That's basically what I do. And I also focus on meal planning and healthy eating. At the end of the day, I just love life. If anything, you gotta love life. You gotta just be able to say that you love life. All right, so let's talk about this. If we get into a little bit about the weight loss journey or just anything that you're doing in particular, and today we're talking about losing weight, it's a challenging journey, right? At the end of the day, everyone has tried different ways and they realize it's just not easy, right? You'll find many ways that you're working hard, you might be eating healthy, you might be exercising regularly, you're still not seeing the results. So that's got to be frustrating, right? But the biggest thing that everybody has their own struggle in order to lose weight or lose pounds. So in the session, we'll talk about, over my 25 years of experience, the top 10 reasons that I feel that you might maybe not be losing weight. First of all, at the beginning of the day, losing weight is not as simple because everyone is different, right? There's underlying issues that some people may have that makes it difficult for the body to shed pounds. It might be hormonal imbalance. It might be thyroid problems, medication. It could be an impact the ability to lose weight. The biggest issue, though, it plays an important role, is that you might want to first talk to your healthcare provider, right? That might be the first plan of action might be there, because at least they can help you find out maybe something that is underlying that may be preventing you or sabotaging your weight loss goal. Another reason losing weight, and here's the basics, y'all, is that the type of food you're eating. You might not be getting enough sleep. You may be not eating mindfully. There's a lot of factors that impact your weight loss journey. So don't worry about it. We're going to get into it today. We're going to dig through some things, and I'm here to help you try to figure out what it is that's sabotaging your success. Let's talk about first, before we go into further, is what I call the 4 basics. I've been talking about the 4 basics from the beginning of time. It never changes. And essentially, if there's anything that I want you to think about, is these 4 basics. I'd also recommend that as you look at the PowerPoint, there might be a couple of these screens, you just take your phone and just hit it. You could take a picture of one of the screens that you might find. This is one of those, right? I call it the 4 basics. And the 4 basics is simple, but it may not be easy. Number 1 is that you want to eat every 3 to 4 hours, whether you're hungry or not. But the combination to that is that you have to add a protein and a carbohydrate with every meal, whether it be in a dinner, snack, lunch, whatever. Always think about adding protein whenever you're having a carbohydrate. Number 2 is exercise. And you want to exercise at least 2 to 3 times a week, consistently. There's a difference between anaerobic and aerobic activities. There's 2 types of exercises. Anaerobic activity is strength training. aerobic activity is strengthen your heart. It's more cardio. In my humble but accurate opinion, I think you should focus more on strength training than you do cardio, because the more muscle you build, the more fat you're going to burn, not only during the exercise, but even ongoing, even after the exercise, if you're building muscle. Number 3 is drink plenty of water, right? You got to drink water. That's the foundation. If you want to know what God's miracle drug is, it's drinking water. On top of that, you do want to take some whole food nutritional supplements, because the food that we're eating does not have enough nutrients, bottom line. Last but not least, you want to get a good night's sleep, and at least try to get at least 6 to 8 hours. Those are the 4 basics. And everyone that I come in contact with and we have a discussion, we always talk about this, because this is my foundation. All right, let's push. So let's talk about the 10 reasons why you're not losing weight. Number 1 is you're not eating enough, right? One of the big common reasons that most people may not be losing weight because they're not eating enough food. That might seem counterproductive, but what happens is when you're drastically reducing the calorie intake, you're actually slowing down your metabolism and you're hindering your weight loss process, right? Your body needs a certain amount of calories just to function, right? In order for you to maintain muscle mass, you have to eat. If you don't eat enough food, then your body's going to start breaking down the muscle and using that for energy instead of burning fat, right? So it's important you to find a right balance between consuming enough calories, putting fuel in the body, and still being at what I'm going to say a caloric deficit. We'll get into a caloric deficit, but the bottom line is that in order for you to lose weight, you have to be in a caloric deficit. Easiest way for me to explain a caloric deficit is that here's the amount of energy that you expended for the day. Here's the amount of food that you ate for the day. Well, the amount of energy you expended for the day has to be over the amount of food that you consumed. Whatever that difference is your caloric deficit, right? So that means you can't keep eating and eating and eating and not doing nothing. You're not ever going to get to a caloric deficit. Another way to find out by just tracking your daily intake, using your food diary or some kind of app, and that's going to help ensure that you're getting enough nutrients in and staying within your caloric goals. Lastly, always remember that if you want to lose weight, it's a gradual process. It has to be sustainable. You can't deprive yourself of the necessary nutrients and then expect to have results, because you're skipping meals quickly. You're going to lose weight. You're going to lose weight too quick, and your body's not going to respond positively. There's going to be a negative impact down the road. Number 2 is that you're not eating quality food. If you're not eating quality food, the biggest issue now is that it's not about how much you eat. It's also about what kind of food you're eating. And that might be hindering your weight loss goals, right? If you're filling up on a lot of processed foods, packaged foods, filled with sugar, unhealthy fats, that is going to be a problem. What you're going to have to do is to start focusing your foods, changing your thought process, and adding and incorporating whole foods into your diet, such as fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats. Those type of foods are going to be loaded with vitamins and minerals, and they're going to help you keep fuller and longer, and also provide you energy for your exercise. Also, it's going to be important, pay attention to your portion size, right? You're consuming quality foods, but listen, just because it's labeled healthy doesn't mean you can have an unlimited amount of it. Be mindful about your serving sizes. Look at the recommended packages that are on each one of the labels beforehand, before you start eating, because at least you have a game plan of how much you can consume. And also remember that small changes in your diet takes time. You're going to have a big impact if you do small changes in small increments. Incorporating quality foods into your meals is going to lead to better digestion. It's also going to help you eat cleaner. And it's also going to be able to give you higher energy levels, clearer skin, and ultimately you're going to lose weight. Right? So focus on eating quality foods and not focus so much on eating foods in general. Number 3, you are eating too much. Either you're eating too little or you're eating too much. It's one of the two, right? If you're eating too much, that's a problem also, right? Eating too much is probably the most common reason why people are not losing weight. So if you're eating healthy, you're doing exercise, you're consuming more calories than your body needs, you're never, ever going to lose weight. So you'll be surprised if you start tracking your food, you'll realize how you underestimate how much you're actually eating. Not until you track the food is it an eye-opener. When you track your food using a food diary or something like a MyFitnessPal, which I recommend, is when you start tracking your food, you now become aware of the intake and you can make the necessary adjustments that you need. Another factor when you're looking at food, again, is your portion control. If you're eating enough food, then you might also assume that you're eating the right amount, but you might be eating oversized portions, and that quickly adds up in calories. If you're tracking it in a tracking app, you'll start to see that I'm eating way too many calories and it doesn't balance out for the energy that I'm burning, right? So you might want to even consider using a smaller plate or measuring out your serving sizes to avoid overeating. Why is it that you have to have a big plate at dinner? Why can't you use a smaller plate? Who said that you got to use the big giant plate to eat dinner? Right? If anything, you could use a smaller plate, and guess what? You fill that plate up, you can eat that food, and you might realize, you know what? I'm not hungry anymore. But the way that I grew up, my parents said, listen, if your plate, whatever's on your plate, you better eat. And we still carry that mentality today as adults. So if you get a smaller plate, you fill it up, you good. But if you try to fill up that big old plate, then you ain't good, because mentally you're still like, I'm not going to throw this away. I'm not going to throw my money away. I got to finish it. And that is going to be one of the biggest issues. Simple thing, just change your plate size. And the second thing, just measure your serving sizes to avoid overeating. It's also going to be important to pay attention to your hunger cues. Everybody has certain things that are happening in their body that's cueing them to tell them they're hungry. But the truth is, it may not be hunger. It might be boredom. It might be a habit that you have. Just because something's happening in your body doesn't necessarily mean you're hungry. Your body's sending you a signal saying, I need help. Just because your stomach is growling does not mean you're hungry. It might say, you haven't even given me any water all day. I have no water all day. Your stomach is growling because you didn't have any water. See, the signal is saying that I need help. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are hungry. So focus on the hunger cues and find out, is it really hunger? Is it a poor habit? Is it the fact that I didn't have enough water? Or maybe you just straight up bored. Think about eating mindfully, and then take some time to savor and enjoy the foods that you're eating. That'll also prevent overeating. If you're wolfing down your food very quickly, before you know it, it's gone. And then you're like, did I actually eat this? So the last thing is I want you to do when you're thinking about if you're not eating it too much, it all goes back down to creating a caloric deficit, burning more calories than you can consume. If you're going to make the small changes by changing your eating habits, reducing your portion sizes, being mindful about your hunger cues, it's going to set you up for success, and it'll increase your weight loss journey. Number 4, maybe you're not getting enough sleep. I want you to think about each one of these, right? If you're looking at all 10, I want you to take a look and say which ones I'm doing right now and which ones do I have to maybe fix? I can guarantee you, you're not 100% on these. There's something that's missing. And it might be one thing that's not necessarily simple, but it's actually a pretty easy thing to maybe adjust is your sleeping. If you notice that sleep happens to be one of my 4 basics. And sleeping is critical for maintaining a healthy body, mind, and also weight loss. Lack of sleep is going to do something to your hormones. It creates an imbalance and it leads to increased appetite and cravings. So if you not getting enough rest, what happens is your body releases what's called cortisol. And cortisol leads to accumulation of fat in the belly. So the more that you're not getting enough sleep, the less sleep you get, the more belly fat you're creating. Let me say this again for y'all that don't want to get enough sleep. The less sleep you get, your hormones that are supposed to be protecting you and helping you balance and recover, they actually retaliate and they cause you to gain weight or maintain the current weight you have. So if you're not getting enough sleep, that is not an effective way to lose weight. This is what I want you to think about. If you're going to bed, I want you to create a relaxing bedtime routine. Number 1, avoid electronics before going to bed, right? Maybe have some calming devices like reading, maybe having a warm bath, maybe turning on, the sounds that you have that are the water sounds. Maybe you might have to read, you might even want to read the book of Proverbs before you go to bed. You got there's 31 chapters in Proverbs, right? There's 31 days max in a particular month. You could read a chapter of Proverbs and then make that your positive mindset before you go to bed, right? Because the majority of us are going to bed with a negative mindset. And how will you go to bed? The last thing that you leave your mind at night is what you carry with you all night. So if you went to bed negative and you went to bed with stress and you went to bed all these issues, you're carrying that with you the entire night. You wake up in the morning and you want to know why you're pissed, that you're angry, you're upset. It's because whatever you left the night before is running throughout the night. So those of you who are playing the news, listen to the news in the middle of the night, and you're doing it to get the weather. Okay, well, let me listen to the news for 30 minutes and you got 25 minutes of that is probably negative and you can't do anything about, and you're trying to get the weather, and there's 50-50 chance that the weather's correct. What you could have done is went right to your app on your phone and say, what's the weather for tomorrow? And that's it. But you want to carry all anyway. Calm down, Wallace. Focus. Make sure that you make a priority about getting a sufficient amount of sleep. That's going to contribute to increasing your weight loss goal. The bottom line is you have to get some sleep. If you're exercising, that helps you recover. If you're getting enough sleep, that helps your body eliminate cortisol. If you're getting enough sleep, you're going to have a better attitude. If you're getting enough sleep, you're not going to be grumpy in the morning. There's so many factors that are inherently effective when you get enough sleep. And do me a favor, is go to sleep at the same time every day. If you're going to sleep the same time every day, guess what your body's going to do? It's going to shut down certain things that runs in the background because it knows that you're going to bed and you're no longer going to use that. But if you're going to bed randomly, anytime that you want to in the middle of the night, the body is on 100% because it has no idea when you're shutting things down. So focus on the time of day and say, okay, I'm going to bed at 11 o'clock or 10:30 or whatever it is. And then focus on that time and try to make that a goal. And your body will start adjusting itself 30 minutes prior to that. So guess what happens when you hit the bed? You're out like a light because your body's already shutting down things that it's not going to use. Oh, you learning something. I know, y'all. Number 5, maybe you're not doing enough exercise. Here we go. Wallace, you keep talking about me. Think about this. If you're doing exercise, that is going to be the essential component to weight loss. If you're not doing enough exercise, guess what's going to do? It's going to hinder your process. Exercise is going to help you burn calories. It's going to help you build muscle. It's going to help you increase your metabolism. It's going to contribute to weight loss. It's recommended that you get at least 150 minutes of moderate, intense exercise, and then 75 minutes of maybe some aerobic exercise. Now, you see, if we're saying 150 of moderate exercise, that means some kind of strength training, but you're also integrating maybe 75 of doing some kind of cardio. So the ratio is that you should be doing 2/3 strength training and 1/3 cardio. Not what y'all doing. Y'all doing 100% cardio and no strength training, or you're doing the small amount of strength training and doing all this cardio, but what you're doing is you're not building enough muscle. You're burning energy, but you're burning carbohydrates. So you're not ever getting to the fat stores. So you're going to have to change this mode of thought process and say, I got to put in more strength training as opposed to doing a bunch of cardio. Nothing wrong with cardio. You have to do cardio. I mean, cardio is essential to achieving your goals, but you got to make sure also that you're implementing a amount of time to making sure that you are benefiting. Everybody do me a favor, turn your thing on mute. If somebody's on, just make sure you're turning everything on mute, y'all. The other thing is that you want to also add physical activity that doesn't necessarily have to be strength training or anything else. It could be.
So instead of telling you one what you say, this homeowner was having some problems with their old shower.
It could be other activities other than you doing strength training. Strength training in general could be things like you doing squats, lunges, push-ups, resistance bands. And these are things you should be doing over the course of the week. But there's other things that you can do that are just things that maybe you are doing on a regular basis. Instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs, right? If you're taking breaks at work, do you got to sit at your desk and eat lunch? Or could you go outside and go for a walk? Cut that time in place and say, okay, I got an hour for lunch. Let me take a half hour for walking. Let me take a half hour for eating my lunch. Why are you sitting at your desk? They ain't paying you for lunch. You getting paid for lunch? No. So why are you sitting at your desk like you need to be doing something? Why don't you do something for you while you have that 1 hour? And the second thing is that if you get outside and take a walk, guess what you're doing? You're freeing up your mind. You're giving yourself some energy. So when you get back to work, you're basically starting again. So make sure you're adding some physical activity. Remember, all movement, any movement you do is better than doing no movement. When it comes to losing weight, you got to do something, but at least do something that suits your interests. Maybe you like dancing, maybe you like swimming. Whatever it is that you like to do more of it and do it consistently. Guarantee that you'll have sustainable results as you continue. Next one. Maybe you're not drinking enough water. Drinking enough water is essential for weight loss again. If you're drinking enough water, at least you're allowing toxins to leave the body. If 85% of your body is all water, if you don't drink enough water, that's what it does. It's going to slow down your metabolism. It's going to make it harder for you to lose weight. Right? So if you drink water, it's going to flush out toxins. It's going to make you feel full. It's also going to reduce your calorie intake. So one way to start drinking enough water is by carrying your own personal water bottle. You have a water bottle that you carry with you throughout the day. And then make it a habit of drinking at least 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. Another thing you can do instead of doing that, you can add some flavor like some lemons. You can put in some cucumber slices, right? You can make flavored water on your own. So continue to stay hydrated throughout the day. You can also add fruits and vegetables. There's plenty of fruit and vegetables that have high water content, right? If that's going to be added not only in nutritional benefits, but it's also going to provide you extra water. Cucumbers, a lot of water. Watermelon, a lot of waters. There's a lot of, salads, iceberg lettuce, a lot of water. So you want to take advantage of foods that provide you a lot of nutrients, but also are laden with water. So you don't have to drink straight water, but I do recommend that you start to implement certain things. Maybe it's stress. The issue might be stress. Stress literally kills you, y'all. Stress literally can kill you. And it's the fact that stress and anxiety has a significant impact on your weight loss journey. So when you're stressed, your body produces, again, cortisol. That cortisol is a stress hormone. Cortisol leads to increased appetite, cravings, unhealthy, and makes you eat unhealthy. Whenever you're stressed, what do you end up eating? You don't go, oh, I'm stressed, let me go get a salad. That's not what you end up doing. You do just the opposite. You get yourself some ice cream, some candy, some cake, because all of these things give you sugar, and the sugar makes you feel comfortable. So many times, whenever you have a craving, you're eating unhealthy, high-calorie foods. And that can also cause you to be more anxious and more stressed out. Then you got guilt. Then you got all these other issues that are coming up. So in order for you to combat that, the anxiety, one of the best things you do, you want to find out what is the coping mechanism that you would have to work with to make it better. A best way to work through that is exercise. Exercise is one of the best stress reducers that you can do. And you're burning calories as a result. Doing yoga, meditation, any other options are going to also help you calm your mind and also help with your overall well-being. Make sure you address, though, the root cause of why you're even having these issues in the first place. What are the stresses that are causing this? Maybe you might have to go to therapy, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you have to change some lifestyles, but you got to figure out what's happening and what's causing the stress, because that's going to make a big difference of whether you're losing weight or not. Stress is a huge deal when it comes to impact your health. So remember, anything you're doing, it takes time. So you're not going to get rid of the stress either. It's not, these are things that are not going to happen overnight, but at least you are becoming aware and have the ability to focus on these particular areas. The next one is number 8. You're not tracking your calories. Kind of talked about this already, y'all. If you track your calories, at least you know what you are eating. One of the most common reasons why people struggle with weight loss is simply because they don't track the calorie intake. You have no idea what you're consuming. Like I said, you already know that the majority of the time we underestimate how much we're consuming, especially when it comes down to snacking, especially when it comes down to eating at restaurants. Y'all ain't saying the right numbers. Y'all messing up, right? So when you start thinking about tracking, you have to use something. And again, I would recommend using MyFitnessPal. There's a lot of trackers out here, y'all, and I've tried a lot of them, but I'm just a big fan of MyFitnessPal. I think it does the best job. And several things happens when you start using a tracking device. It makes you stay accountable. It makes you aware of what you're putting in your body. But most importantly, it makes you be honest to yourself. But you also have to log everything you eat, even a small little pack of cookies or potato chips. Every bite has to go inside there for you to get an accurate count. Do you have to do that for the rest of your life? Absolutely not. You don't, but you do have to do it for a certain amount of time, so at least you can gauge and figure out, okay, if I'm going to eat this, I know this is 400. If I eat this is 250. If I have these eggs, this is 150. If I'm going to have this for breakfast, this oatmeal is going to be 40 calories. Whatever it is, after a while, we are all normally eating the same foods. You can start to almost pinpoint what your caloric intake is going to be. But you got to have a starting point, and you got to start tracking, at least to understand what you're actually doing. Another benefit of tracking, that it makes you and almost forces you to have healthier choices overall. Because now you start paying attention to portion sizes, you start paying attention to your nutritional content, and you're probably going to find yourself gravitating towards healthier foods like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins. Because after a while, you get sick and tired of logging this stuff in, and you know it ain't right. You know this stuff's not correct, and you know it's not working for your health. So now you start putting things in because you want to start seeing, the fruits of your labor. If you're eating these foods, you want to see these changes, from what you're eating, it's not going to come out right. And the second thing is that how are you going to find out you're in a caloric deficit unless you track your food and stay consistent with doing that? Eating food is an uphill battle. Tracking your food takes time. In the beginning, it's going to be time consuming, but after a while, even if you start doing it, it'll literally take you 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll be able to knock it out because a lot of these things are already in the MyFitnessPal app. And all you have to do is do a recall and say, okay, just bring over what I had yesterday, or here, I had this last week. Let me just bring that over, because it recognizes some of the foods that you had and they consider them as favorites or things that is your normal behavior. Next one, not eating enough protein. You've got 3 types of macros that we should focus on. One is fat, one is carbohydrates, and one is protein. And the biggest benefit is going to be increasing your protein intake. By simply increasing your protein intake, that is an essential macronutrient, and it also plays a critical role in weight loss. It's going to help you feel fuller longer. It's going to help you reduce your calorie intake because you're not going to be as hungry, right? If you're not eating protein, you're going to be hungry because food just goes through very quickly, especially carbohydrates. Turns into sugar very quickly, and all of a sudden you're looking for something else to eat. But if you're eating protein foods that are high in protein, now you can actually implement those in your meals, in your snacks throughout the day. Excellent sources of protein is going to be lean meats, poultry, fish, eggs, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds. But don't forget, there's plant-based options also, like tempeh, tofu, and a lot of the vegetables that you consume has a tremendous amount of protein. The only difference is that if you're eating vegetables and you're getting your protein from vegetables, it's considered as an incomplete protein because your protein that is a vegetable also needs a fat to attach to it to make it complete. So the difference is that if you're eating food from flesh or lean meats, that is a complete protein. But if you're eating proteins from vegetables, that's an incomplete protein until you add a healthy fat to it to make it complete. How can that happen? You can have avocado oil. You can have an avocado. You can have nuts with it. Any type of fat that you can attach to that meal. If you're stir frying, avocado oil is probably one of my favorites now. Coconut oil and avocado oil, because they both have a high smoke point, which means that you can cook them at high and not burn, right? If you cook with butter, it's going to burn. If you're cooking with high virgin olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and you got it cooked up very high, it's going to burn. So you want to have oils that has a high smoke point that is not going to burn. And a great advocate for that is going to be avocado oil or even coconut oil, right? If you need help with adding more protein in your diet, again, you can go right to the MyFitnessPal app, and it will tell you what's high in protein, what's not. You can talk to a registered dietitian. Shoot, you can talk to me. Just ask me, right? But at least you want to find some personalized recommendations to reading your weight loss goal. Last one, that maybe you're just not eating mindfully. Mindful eating, y'all. Mindful eating. What that basically means is that you're not really thinking about the food you're eating. You're not paying attention to what you're eating, how much you're eating, how fast you're eating it, and the type of food that you're eating.
Another one?
What that'll end up doing is it's going to lead to overeating, and ultimately it's going to hinder your weight loss goals. Being mindful means that you're present and you're aware of the food that's in front of you. So take some time to savor and bite, chew your food, enjoy the flavors, the textures of the meals. Put down the phone, turn off the TV, and enjoy your meal. Eliminate distractions, right? Focus solely on the act of putting nutrients in your body. Another tip of mindful eating is just listen to your body hunger cues. Stop when you feel full instead of just trying to eat from boredom, habit, or you got to complete the plate. The plate's that full. I got to finish it. So if you incorporate different mindful activities, your meal time is actually going to be better. You're going to improve your digestion, and it's also going to create a healthier relationship, right? Think about this. You're making dinner. Your husband, your wife made the dinner, and you sit down and you woof this dinner down. You're just woofing it down all quick. And then your wife goes, honey, how was it? You're like, it was fantastic. But you know you was watching the basketball game the whole time. You wasn't thinking about that food. That's not mindful, right? So if you just focus on something else while you're eating, somebody labored probably on making that food, and you don't even realize what you just ate because you inhaled it because you're not thinking about it. And if we're eating our food in big chunks, your body's not digesting it because it can't break it down. So here's what I want you to do. Take a picture. You can use your phone. Take a picture of these 10. And as you take that picture of those 10 later on today, I want you to go through each one and say to yourself, which one of those am I good? And which one of those do I need to fix? Am I eating enough? Am I eating quality foods? Am I eating too much? Am I not getting enough sleep? Am I not doing enough exercise? Am I not drinking enough water? Am I stressed all the time and have anxiety? Am I tracking my calories? Am I not eating enough protein? And am I eating mindfully? Take those 10 and then figure out which ones that I'm good and which ones I need to fix. And that, y'all, is basically going to help you figure out why you're not losing the weight that you've been consistently trying to lose. Just because you attended the session, tomorrow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you my monthly recipe packs that I do every month. That's for a healthy recipe pack and a plant-based recipe pack. So every month I create these recipe packs. Those that are following me or just kind of watch what I'm doing sometimes. Every month I create a recipe pack that's a healthy recipe pack and also a recipe pack that's just plant-based. It's for people that are more plant-based or more vegetarian-based or vegan-based. Each one of the packs have 15 recipes in there. There are recipes for all types: smoothies, snacks, meals, desserts, whatever. There's a shopping list in there that gives you the idea of what you're going to need. There's a weekly meal planner for all the food. There's ingredients, a caloric profile of each one, step-by-step instructions. And even there's a barcode that you can literally click that with the MyFitnessPal, and it will upload each one of the foods on there automatically. So what I'm going to do is just to because of attending the session, and I'm a big fan of people trying to figure out how to eat healthier. The reason why I actually did this in the first place, because a lot of people really don't know what to eat and don't really think about options that are available to them. So here I go out of the box and I think about foods that most people are not eating and see how they can incorporate these foods, make them healthy. Because a lot of times what we're doing, we're surfing all over the place and we're looking at recipes, but we're not really sure of the content and whether it's actually healthy and good for you. So everybody that connected up today, I will take those emails, and probably tomorrow I will shoot that out to you. And those are yours. Those are yours for free. Normally, I end up selling each one of the packs for $12.99 for each pack. I also put them in a bundle, and they are $20 if a person wanted to just get them monthly. But I'm going to give you these this month for free because I'm a nice guy, y'all. I'm a nice guy. That was basically what I wanted to cover. You can also take a picture. If you don't know me and you don't have my contact information, you can more than welcome to take a picture of this particular screen. That QR code that you see also on the screen, you can use your phone and that'll bring you to my about page. So be my guest, what you like to do, but at least it'll give you the ability to contact me either way that you want to. And I will leave it there to find out if there's any questions or anything that people might have. So let me give you another second just to make sure if anybody wanted to take a picture of that. All right, excellent. I'm going to shut this down, y'all. I'm going to shut it down. Excellent. There we go. We're good. We're good. We're good. All right. So I hope that was very helpful. I'm going to run through these real quick of these questions. Let me just see if I can push through these. Let's do it. One of the questions was, are there any supplements that you recommend? Supplement industry is tricky, y'all. The reason being is because water is not regulated by the federal government and neither is supplements. Right? So the first setting is going to be basically that you want to make sure that the supplementation that you're taking is a plant-based supplement. Right? There's two different types of supplements. One side of your supplements are synthetically made, which means they're made in a laboratory. The other side of supplements is a plant-based supplement that came directly out of the ground. Since there's a fact that that supplements are not regulated by the federal government, neither is your water, you really have no idea of the supplement, whether it's it's actually being consumed in the body, into the bloodstream, or it's actually considered a placebo because it's not digesting. Right? So that's a hard one. I'm a big fan of two entities. One of them is a Neutralite, and the second one is Nature's Sunshine. Both of those entities are plant-based companies. The Neutralite brand is actually the first manufacturer of the multivitamin in the United States. So a couple of things you want to do is any supplements that you're looking for, you want to make sure that it follows what's called GMP. Make sure that you look at your supplement and the supplement should say on the bottle somewhere saying GMP. And GMP means good manufacturing practices. So since supplements are not regulated by the federal government, it is up to the entity to regulate themselves. And one of the regulations that people stand by is what's called GMP. There's a lot of supplements out here that normally we're taking, and the truth is they're not even dissolving in time for your body to recognize it. But you're getting tricked because it's a placebo effect, because you spent the money and your brain goes, I got it. But your body goes, no, I did not. Because just because you're taking a supplement, remember, the supplement has to be able to dissolve inside your small intestines. If the supplement doesn't dissolve inside your small intestines, you don't get the benefit of the supplement because it has to go in the bloodstream. The only place that it goes in the bloodstream is your small intestine. So if your vitamin doesn't dissolve by the time it gets to small intestine and goes to the large intestines and finally dissolves, that means you got expensive feces. Your feces is expensive, y'all. You got no benefit. You got zero benefit. And you spending hundreds of dollars, probably a month, on supplementation that by far is not being. So literally you got to do your research to find out supplement companies and do their background. And you want to make sure that that supplement company does everything in-house and they're not getting supplements from other places and adding it to theirs. That makes sense? If they control the entire program, then you have full control of what the process is. But if you're pulling something from China and you're pulling something else from Colombia and you're pulling something else and you're adding these together, you now have a defective product because you really cannot find out the origination. All right. The next one was coconut oil. Coconut oil is high in saturated fat. but not all saturated fat is bad for you, right? Plant-based saturated fat is not bad. The animal-based saturated fat is the problem, right? You have two types of saturated fats, right? Doesn't mean that you can eat you can consume a ton of coconut oil, but coconut oil is a healthy choice. It's saturated fat. Listen, avocados is saturated fat, but isn't it healthy? It's just a matter of how much you're consuming, right? So plant-based saturated fat is good, but you have to still have it in moderation because a fat is a fat, is a fat, is a fat, right? But if you're eating animal-based fats, that is creating a tremendous amount of inflammation to the body. So animal-based saturated fats is a big difference between you having saturated fats that's come from plant-based. Again, you got to make sure that the amount of fat you're consuming calorically is under control, right? So yes, I'm a fan of coconut oil. I'm a fan of avocado oil, right? I'm a fan of olive oil, but here's the thing about olive oil, y'all. There's two types of olive oil, right? You have the regular olive oil, and then you have the extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is used for cold food, like salads and so on. Your regular olive oil is used for cooking. Why? It's because as soon as you heat up the olive oil that's extra virgin, the heat destroys the extra virgin component. It's no longer extra virgin after you heat it because you now killed off the residuals that makes it extra virgin as soon as you hit the heat. So basically you wasted money every time you're heating up extra virgin olive oil, right? So you should have, which we do, is we have both. We have olive oil and we have extra virgin. If we're making a salad dressing, extra virgin olive oil. If I'm using something that's cold, or we're making, I don't know, it's in my head, can't think of it. It'll come to me. But if you're doing something that's cold, then you're fine with the extra virgin. But if you're using olive oil to cook, do not waste your money using extra virgin olive oil to cook because you're burning it off as soon as you hit the heat. All right. So save yourself a couple bucks. All right, let's push. I appreciate the class. Oh, thank you so much. Let's see. Yes. MyFitnessPal is by far, there's a lot of some people use Lose It, some people use other ones. The MyFitnessPal to me is the best one. It is probably one of the oldest ones. So guess what? If they're the oldest one around, the information that they have inside of there, you'll be able to pull it up, right? So if you're looking for something, for something in MyFitnessPal, because they've been around long enough that you can probably go to Cheesecake Factory and pull up Cheesecake Factory and pull up the cheesecake, and boom, it'll show up. But maybe the newer ones that are around, you may not be able to see that because they may not have that type of data that's in there, right? So yes, I'm a big fan of MyFitnessPal. That's the one I would consider. Another question was, should you do strength training every day? Also, how many minutes of strength training should you do? Good question, y'all. That's a good one. You should not be doing strength training every day. And if you're doing strength training every day, you're doing different body parts every day. One day you might be doing lower body. One day you might be doing abs. One day you might be doing upper body. One day you might be doing HIIT, right? But if you're doing the same exercises the same time every day, the same things every day, your body never gets the opportunity to recover, and it never gives the opportunity to build. Because the way that you lose weight and the way that you build muscle is not during the activity. It's after the activity when the body's at rest and it's recovering, right? The whole purpose of you exercising is what you're doing is you're causing what's called micro tears. So here's your muscle. When you do an exercise, you actually are tearing it. But every time you're tearing it, it creates another muscle. And then you tear it, it creates another muscle. When you tear it, creates another muscle. But guess what? When it recovers to do the recovery, it's when you're sleeping. Right? So if you keep doing the same exercise, you tear, you never learn to recover. it might take a day or two for the body to recover from the exercise that you did. So can you do strength training every day? You can. Should you? I don't recommend it. I would say maybe focus on doing strength training 4-5 times, different muscle groups, not the same exercise. And you don't got to do it forever, right? If you're doing strength training, you can do it 20, 30 minutes. You don't got to be in the gym for 2 hours thinking you're doing something, because eventually your body's like, I've had enough. And now you're going to get an injury, right? So do your exercise, do a couple of sets, make sure you got enough weight to cause, a burn or that actually you're doing something. Don't be in there like you on a Sunday, just whistling and Dixieing. You ain't doing nothing. You're wasting time, right? So if you're going to exercise, make sure you're putting enough weight that it causes you get towards the end. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm feeling something. Now you're doing something. But if you up there just joking around, you're wasting too much time. So yes, you should not do strength training every day. If you do, doing different muscle parts throughout the different days. Should you do cardio? You should integrate cardio also in these days. Here's the most effective way to lose weight is to walk every day. The most effective way to lose weight is to walk. Walk, y'all. Simple. When you walk every day, you're burning body fat because the body doesn't need carbohydrates to use as energy. What it does, it uses fat stores. But if you're doing cardio and you're going 500 miles an hour on a treadmill, you might be burning 800 calories, but the bulk of those calories came from carbohydrates and not fat. If you're walking every day, the majority of the energy that's being burned is through fat. So here's one person that walks every day, and you seeing them looking all slim and trim, and they're keeping their weight down. You're like, wow, you look great. What have you been doing? And they're like, oh, I walk. Yeah, but what else you doing? I walk. Yeah, but what else you doing? I said I walk. And that person is actually losing more weight. But what they're not doing maybe is not implementing the strength training. Right? You can walk every day, but you still got to implement strength training because that helps you build the muscle, and that muscle turns your body into a furnace and you burn more body fat exponentially. All right. Excellent. Ooh, that was good. I got it out the way. I think I'm good here. And look at this. I got 4 minutes to go. 4 minutes to go. Let me leave it as an open platform. Is there anybody that just wanted to come off mute real quick and just have a question they might have? And then I'm going to cut you guys loose. Anybody have a question? Ooh, that means I must have did good. If y'all ain't asking nothing, I did good today. I did good.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are your slides available? The slides from this presentation?
What I can do is I will also put a link when I send the email out. I will also put a link to the slides. Yeah. Why not? I feel in a gracious mood today. Why not? Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Anything else, y'all? Anything? Going once? Going twice? Did y'all learn something? Can I at least figure that out? Did y'all learn something?
Yeah.
Listen, I told you last time, if I'm saying something, you learning something. If I'm saying something, you learning something. All right.
Absolutely, Wallace. This is fabulous. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure.
Yes, really good.
Good. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Learned a lot.
Please make sure if you're not getting my newsletter, that when I send that email out to everyone, that they can click I would probably give them a link, or you can always just send me an email saying I'm not getting your weekly newsletters. Please add me to them. And actually, that's incorrect. Anybody that was on this session today, I will make sure that I will add your email to the newsletter. There we go. See, that makes it easy. I ain't got to do nothing. You ain't got to do nothing. See, streamlining, boy, the streamline. So if I've got your email today, I'll make sure that you're added to the email list. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great one, y'all. Take care.
Thank you.
See y'all later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.